Keeping venomous reptiles is an unforgiving hobby, requiring proper training and lots of experience. One simple mistake can be the difference between life and death. Remember, the most venomous snake in the world is the one that just bit you. There are no venomous snakes with training wheels. Just because you see viperkeeper handle snakes a certain way does not mean you should try it too.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous overall, considering...
You should be safe over there with this hook.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm sweating all over the place. This is a good exercise. Everybody asks me how I stay skinny. This is it, man.
Yeah.
I burn every calorie I have out here. I still work out, but this burns the calories, man.
Oh, yeah.
David, I'm down in the Cooper building if you want to come in here too.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw an article in a newspaper the other day that this township banned sledding on this hill because of the potential that the kids get hurt. It's like, oh my God, they can't be normal kids anymore, because, the parents expect them not to get hurt. Well, God, if I came home with all legs and arms attached at the end of the day, my mom was happy.
Yep.
So was I, of course, but I was always getting banged up and beat up and...
Right.
And a lot of crazy things I did my own volition, and if I got hurt, it's like, well, okay, I was pretty stupid. Not that, the person that made that bike owes me now.
Well, it's just, when I worked at the hospital, is when they started putting on those stuff on the riding mowers where you can't have passengers and stuff. Mm-hmm. Because we had a case where a guy would put his grandkid on, and the kid fell off and he ran over. And so he sued and won. And I'm like, there's one seat. Get a grip. It's not meant to be rode.
Yeah, it's not the manufacturer's fault. It's
Yep.
It's just the general dumbing of America. How come, manufacturers that are hair dryers have to put labels on and say not to use it in the shower? I mean, we shouldn't have to do that. That would be a common sense thing, one would think, but there is no more common sense.
No, common sense is something well, that's the thing is that I tell people, even with the venomous snakes and stuff, how do you legislate common sense? I mean, basically a lot of it is just common sense. And, it's just it's not possible to tell people to be smart. They're just not going to do it. They're going to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah, that's right. Regardless of the law, it's again, one of the finer examples is the gun control issues. The responsible people as well as the licensed people. They don't have the right to carry the guns. The criminals don't care, and the fact that they're going to get slapped with an illegal gun charge really doesn't make a whole lot of difference if they're committing bank robbery in the process.
Right.
Just nothing makes sense. It's all upside down.
Yeah, well,
time for a lot of Clorox in the gene pool, is my opinion.
I just don't. The more I learn about humans, the more I like working with animals.
Yep. You would be surprised how many herpers on YouTube channel and also on my Facebook page have the same thing. Everybody would rather work with the animals than most people.
Yeah, it's just people they're the danger is out there. There's going to be danger, and people die every day. I mean, I could walk out here, trip and fall, and break my neck. We choose our poisons and stuff, but the only time, like I said, the only time it bothers me is that thing from that one.
Oh yeah. Oh, very cool. Yeah, as usual, this stupid thing is not focusing. There we go. Yeah, the other day with our ice storm that we had, I was concerned because I've seen it happen. You slip on the ice, you fall backwards, you whack your head on the pavement, and you're dead. you tear your middle cerebral artery and you're done. They can't get in there and fix that in time.
Nope.
Just like, there's plenty of examples, or people who work with, the big crocodilians or big cats, I think their risk factors are much higher than ours. At least if we get bit, we have a chance of going to the hospital and getting the anti-serum, and not have our arm or head chewed off, or, the people that are surfing and get the shark bites and lose their leg and bleed out before they get to the beach.
Right. Well, at least the anti-serum works better. Yeah, in the zoo, the elephant's the most dangerous animal.
Oh, of course.
And I was doing, I was asked to do the keynote speaking for zoo school at Cincinnati Zoo, and they brought in the elephant, small elephant, to hand the diplomas to the kids. And somebody said, "Well, is there anything you're afraid of?" And I said, "That elephant." Everybody laughed at me, and I'm like, "I'm telling you the truth. I'm more afraid of the elephant than I am a black mamba." And people who work with elephants will say, "I'm more afraid of black mamba." It's what you're comfortable with to some degree, but comfort also breeds complacency. And a lot of people who get hurt, you're fine right there. A lot of people get hurt is because they've become complacent. I mean, going through this, I have to keep reminding myself that the next animal could be my last animal. The next animal could be my last animal. If I don't remind myself, I could get complacent because I've just ran through a ton of snakes. It's very easy to make a mistake.
Oh, yeah. People are worried about me, when I'm filming. Well, I'm really focused on what the snake's doing and where my hand is in relation to the snake when I'm filming. My close calls or even the bites and stuff occur when I don't have the camera and I'm just doing routine things around the snake room. So that's when I remind myself, hey, on your toes, watch what you're doing. Because, if you're doing the mundane things, your mind has a tendency to wander.
Well, until this year, in 30-some odd years of extracting venom, I'd only been envenomated 3 times while extracting venom. And this year, I got the bothrops bite, and I went back too quickly and got bit by a copperhead. So it just, you got to be careful. You can't, the money started getting a little thin, and I had an order. I only needed 1 gram to finish up a 20-gram order. So I said, you never say it's just a copperhead. And I'll have to show you the video sometime. I had blibs all over my hand.
Ooh, that was a bad bite.
Yep, it was a bad bite. I mean, it caused tissue damage on my thumb. You can see it right there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I tell people, who work here when I'm training them with, I said there's no such thing as just a venomous snake. Venom does not belong in your body. Sherman had it best. He said if it doesn't belong in your body, don't put it in your body. And venom doesn't belong there. So it doesn't matter if it's a copperhead or something that, quote, hasn't killed anybody recently. That doesn't mean you won't be the first, And anaphylaxia among keepers is not unusual.
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons why I have a minimum amount of spitters, and I'm very thankful that the black beast doesn't spit. Otherwise he would be gone, because all the other Politas that I had are gone because they were like fire hoses. And
well, I'll tell you, Kristen's only allergy is to pallid.
Really?
Yeah. She's never been bitten by one, but just the aerosol around it.
Yeah.
We wear a rebreather when we work with the freeze-dried venom, just so we don't become sensitized.
Right, yeah, I remember.
But the dust is really easy to get sensitized to. Actually, Host is allergic to the freeze-dried venom.
Yeah. It's funny how some of these guys look like they're, they know what you're doing and stuff, and okay, I'll just get this over with, and others are just like, never ever let you touch me.
Yep. Yeah, some of them go along with the program, and some don't want to go along with the program.
You know, I really feel bad when I have to restrain an animal because, you know, I feel that, you know, that animal, you know, has trusted me pretty well so far, and then I have to sort of lose that trust with him because, you know, I have a vet procedure or something I need to do.
Right.
You know, I'm really sorry, guy, but, you know, this is what we got to do.
Yeah, it is. It's well, that's why, you know, a lot of the animals. I tell people a lot of times, the people, you know, in zoos and stuff, if you're just hooking the animal and you pay attention to your safety protocols, you should never get bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not really pissing the animal off. You know, it's when the animal gets pissed off that you start having problems, and, you know, minimize interaction and maximize safety. That's the best way to go with it. So.
Yeah, and you know, my thing is, I try not to push their buttons, and you know, it's easy to recognize what buttons really push, not to push. I mean, that very large mamba that I had, Taz. You know, if I need to go into her cage and do something, well, I could hook her out and lay her on my central table, and she would just sit there and look around. I'd do what was in the cage and then hook her back and be no problem at all.
Yep.
And even the wild-caught snakes that just come in from Africa on the shipment, although they do have a tendency to be flighty yet, if you're gentle with them, you know, they don't become overly defensive. And after a little while, if, you know, like just, you know, the fact that you're giving them water, something that they need, okay, well, this isn't all that bad. Okay, so here's somebody who's not going to cooperate.
Nah. Nobody gets touched even.
Do you find it's a sex-linked trait, or you find it pretty much even across the board?
Pretty much even across the board, except it seems like heavily the ones that bite me are females.
Yes, I have a certain love relationship with the female snakes at my facility too. They're certainly more high-strung, I think, than the males. There goes another fang.
Shut another one. To grab that before I get the next snake. I'm trying to figure out a way to put those in amber so that we can actually use them to help feed the snakes. And that's something where the animal doesn't have to die to give up, you know, a product that it's going to do naturally. I mean, we go through this, you know, feces and find the fangs all the time, and you know, the one that Peter was showing you. And we find them all the time where they shed them like this.
So what do you mean? Put them in, embed them in a plastic,
Yeah,
and then, you know, sell them at your little shop?
yeah.
Well, that's easy enough to do.
There we go. Oh, there it is.
Again, in my work catalog, we've got you know, clear acrylic resin and molds and stuff for doing
really?
that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, how much do you think we should sell them for? I mean, what would you think people would pay for them, and what would we have to get out and actually make it worth the while?
Well, you know, actually, you know, I don't know, because I've never.
Did I do this one already?
Yes.
Okay. I sit here talking on my.
You know, I've never tried to sell any. I've given some away to people. You know, and they've asked, and you know, I trust, respect them. You know, they're really interested. But I have a friend who I send some to, and they get bleached in Clorox and cleaned up and stuff, and she makes earrings out of them, and those sell really well. And actually, you know, perhaps going to be doing some of that for charity work. Proceeds go towards somebody.
Have you done Repticon?
I've gone down to the South Carolina show, but that's the only Repticon I've done where I've exhibited or had animals. The ones that are up near me, usually I don't go to only because there's no venomous there. It's not interesting to me. If I need some supplies, if I'm running short on a particular type of feeder or something, I'll go there and do that. You know, buy some whatever I need. But other than that, I don't take the time. You know, certainly I would go and talk, give a lecture or something if they did that, but no one's asked me, and you know, I generally don't go where I'm not wanted.
Well, somebody called us from there and asked Kristen if we'd be interested, and Kristen said, "Yeah, Jim's getting ready to email us information, and we'll get back with you." And they never did. So, but I'm not sure that I would be received very well.
And you know, it's one of those crowds that you've got, you know, rednecks that would rather run them over than anything else or skin them.
Right.
You've got real enthusiasts that are quite interested in stuff, but you just never know what sort of a mix you're going to get. And you know, we recently sort of ran these guys out of town at the Hamburg show. There were some, well, yeah, he sort of made a move towards the glass there when your fingers were on the edge.
Fucking thing is a piece of shit. Another reason I want to get rid of these.
Oh yeah, I don't like the sliding glass ones. You know, you may want to try as a little silicone vacuum grease on the tracks. It may, you know, allow them to move a little bit easier.
He just shed his thing too. Everybody's shedding today. Ooh, you're a happy camper. Yeah, I'll help it. Well, this is going to be interesting. You can crawl back in there. Then the hard part's going to be getting it closed. Should be a fucking Olympic event to close the goddamn cage.
Exactly.
I'm gonna have Kristen do that.
Well, you know, that's how the nigriculus grabbed my hand. It was opening the glass. It was stuck, and all of a sudden it slid real easy, and he was already interested and on notice that I was coming in.
Now, one of my bites happened when I was doing a lecture for some doctors and paramedics, and I had a neodesha, and I was sitting on one of those lab tables. I went to slide it shut and it slid off the lab table, and I reached out, about that much open, cotton mouth goes pop. And I'm like, oh, bullshit. Then I got to find out how much they learned. 4 of them wanted to put a tourniquet on me. I'm like, you guys listen to what I just said? Yeah, so.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So it makes you, you know, it just reinforces what we all know, that people remember very little what you say.
Yeah, well, that's why I have to tell people so many times the same things, because, you know, I learned, you know, when I went through instructor school in the Air Force,
Right.
it was exposure, you know, to the same themes and same thing multiple times before you actually had some learning take place.
Right. I need to put a new membrane on there. Missed it. Yeah, it does. It takes a lot of... Well, you know, it's just like martial arts. It's just repetitive. And people go, why am I doing the same technique? Why can't I do this? Because you don't know that technique yet. You know, you want to be Bruce Lee in one lesson.
Yes, of course. You know, everybody, it's the instant gratification thing, but, you know, disciplines like that come over years worth of experience and repetition, you know, any of this stuff, anything. You know, every professional out there, you know, does things and learns things and becomes good at them by repeating them and not thinking they're an expert after 5 minutes. I mean, you know, look at all your surgeons and stuff and your doctors, and it's all from, you know, repeated exposure and doing the same procedure. And, you know, if I need heart surgery or whatever, I'm going to go to a place that does the same procedure 15 times a day rather than this guy that does it once or twice a week in a local hospital.
Yep.
A much better chance of success. And unfortunately, people don't learn that very quickly either.
One thing I have learned with the snakebite doctors is if I have a doctor who's willing to call somebody like Dan or somebody like that, that's willing to think on their feet, that's the guy I want to treat me.
Yeah.
I don't want the guy who thinks he knows already because he had a class 20 years ago, you know, on snakebite.
Yeah, that's scary.
You know, I want the guy who's going to go, well, you know, I haven't seen one of these. What do I do? You know, I think I told you that one time when I came off the helicopter after the Cape Cobra bite, I had told the nurse on the thing that the IV had gotten crimped and they needed to push, you know, adrenaline, give me 5 bottles push of the South African polyvalent. And just as I came off the helicopter before I went unconscious, I looked up and there was the doctor and he looked down and he goes, what did I do, Jim? And normally that's not what you want to hear. But he knew that I knew a little bit about what I was doing, and so he was going to listen. And he saved my life. If he had not been that particular doctor, I don't know that I'd be alive. Because they would have been messing around with what they thought was the right thing to do, treating me like a copperhead bite or something, and I'd have died.
Yeah.
I said, put me on a respirator and push the anti-venom. And that's what they did, and they saved me.
Yep. Absolutely. You know, I had a dry death adder bite a few years ago.
Yeah, I remember that.
And, you know, I called Dan, and Dan was talking to the ER doctor before I even arrived.
Yep.
And that's what you want. And then Dr. Gold, you know, Dan had to go someplace or had a previous engagement, and he switched me over to Barry Gold at Johns Hopkins, and he ran the show for the rest of the night. Fortunately, we removed the compression bandage and it was nothing. But, you know, talking to Dave Williams, he says 50% of the death adder bites in defensive mode are dry bites. He's found out from natural bites in the jungle.
Right.
So I was a bit surprised about that.
But when you're on the other 50% in...
Well, yes, okay. But we can always, you know, look on the brighter side.
I'm being a smart ass.
Well, I know you're being a smartass. But, you know, Dave did tell me out of 1,200 taipan bites that he's treated there in Papua New Guinea, only one was a dry bite. So we can infer that you're envenomated every single time with a taipan.
Yeah, taipan. Well, that one, yeah, that's something you just might as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just their disposition. You just know that they're not going to, you know, go through the motions and not inject something.
I've milked enough of them to know they're just. I got bit on the boot. That's what started me wearing boots again. Is I had one flip out and it went like this, and it grabbed the end of the boot. Kristen got a picture of it holding on to my boot. It was, you know, when they want you, and they flip out pretty good.
Yeah. You know, my female Papuan very rarely comes out of that cage, and I actually tubed her, you know, because she got burned on that heat panel. I wanted to check it out, and oh boy, she was really unhappy, but it was one of those positive experiences in tubing. She actually did all the work herself, which I was surprised. I said, okay, this is going to be a nightmare. Yeah. And the cage door was cracked maybe a half an inch, just big enough for the tube, and I put it right at the bottom, and she crawled right into it, and I was like, oh, thank God.
What time is it, do you know?
I'll tell you in a moment. Okay. Oh yeah, I gotta sort of look at time too.
Yeah, you gotta look at time too. How early do you have to be at the?
It's 11:26 now.
Okay, it's about time to eat lunch. I have to keep my energy level.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got a few Easterns I'm gonna do in the quarantine. I'll probably do them after you leave. I don't want to drag you in there with me, and I don't want to also not get to talk to you while you're here.